Hello, I have here the COBI RMS Titanic, or at least one of many versions that they make and or have made. This particular version is in 1/450th scale. I bought it for $100 US on Amazon, which is its standard retail price, and I built it live over on Twitch. The length is 64 centimeters or 25¼ inches approximately, just a little bit more than 2 feet. And it comes with 960 pieces, including no stickers. So as usual for modern COBI stuff, anything that looks like a decoration is done with a print or in some cases multiple prints. I think the prints on this one are relatively straightforward, and the smaller size allows me to, more simply rotate this around and give you a good idea for just what its overall shape is. As far as the scale, for folks who are familiar with minifigures from the leading brick building brand, here's just a random one just to show you how that lines up. There is something odd about this as a brick built construction kit. All of this part of the bow here, above the waterline area in black, is one piece, at least around the outside. Similarly, all this in red down here is one piece. It's very strange, and many people will be off-put by that, I'm sure, because you tend to expect to put a thing together when you get a construction kit. It allowed the designer or designers of this kit to get a very accurate shape. So this actually has some really, really good flaring up here. The Titanic has a unique shape. Well, maybe not completely unique, but not particularly common shape. And they did capture that. It's subtle, but they did capture that in there. However, you do lose, just the whole construction aspect of that. Although the lower portion, well, we'll get back to that. The lower portion does have an option to be partially plate built, but in this full form, not so much. The rest of it is pretty straightforward, well, pretty normal, pretty much what you would expect for a kit like this in terms of the size of the pieces and everything. All those portholes are done with individual prints. You do have to be careful as you go to make sure that you're putting the right ones in the correct spaces and everything. But I think level of detail, as viewed from the side here, is pretty good. The funnels, the stacks look good. I think the coloration is proper. The shaping is nice. They've got the little lifeboats as well. But overall, the shaping of the hull, I think, is good. Again, the stand is included. This is a print over here. But I felt like there was probably more involved in the assembly of this than I expected for its size. Coming all the way back around to the stern, yeah, this works out pretty well. We've got the three-bladed propellers, as the current research suggests was the correct and actual orientation or setup of this specific ship, not of the Olympic. That's printed back there, actually 2 pieces in this case rather than just one. So the print goes across the 2. They actually line up the pieces before they apply the pad printing to it to make sure that you don't get an offset between the 2 parts. I really appreciate that COBI often does that when they need to. And let's take a look at the deck. At this size and scale, it's difficult to approximate small details, but I think that this aft deck does a good job with what is here, with representations of the benches there, using just these modified plates that have the bar sticking out from them, and they're embedded in with studs on the side construction. There's a little bit of protrusion just at the deck level. You can see the wood sticks up by a half of a plate underneath there, beneath the posts or the supports for the stern docking bridge here. Of course, you got the flag staff with their standard size of 1x2 flag, and those are printed. Here are some of the cranes for loading cargo, or they're suggested at least. It's not fully detailed up, but suggested decently well. Hatches for cargo back there as well. These can also be angled up and down. I don't think that's really part of the intent, but the parts that they use do have that ability to articulate. As far as rigging this up is concerned, they have just a single string used in this kit, and it is a waxed string. The wax that they put on it will come off on your hand, so watch out for fingerprints, but I do appreciate the fact that it will hold itself together. However, you do have to wrap it around both of the major masts on this and also tie it at the ends. So you have to be careful to kind of get things lined up just right. There's no rigging for the funnels, as we'll get to. I like the tiering back here. This looks pretty right for the different decks, and I appreciate that they use this kind of beige color rather than something that's too oversaturated. It just looks pretty good. A couple more cranes back here. Specialized piece was developed by COBI for representing at this scale some lifeboats, and they use the off-white color for those. Again, the funnels I think are good on this. It's a piece that I personally had not seen before, but I believe they've used this many times here. But the colors are good, and they're angled back using a little bit of studs on the side construction to get the clips in there to keep everything fairly nice and tight around the deck. No major gaps there. This is a really good textured piece to use to represent the skylight there. It's actually great that they did that rather than going with just a flat piece with a print on it. This is far superior in my opinion. I appreciate them using an off-white color over here as well for I don't forget exactly what this is. Is this part of the smoke room? Is smoke room forward of that? Forget exactly what this is, but it's supposed to be there. Slightly different techniques are used for the bases of some of the funnels than others, but this area here I don't like. All this in here, it's just so flat and so plain. There's nothing, nothing whatsoever. I really wish that there was anything in here, just something to just make it feel like there's a little bit of texture of some sort. It just really detracts from the level of visual fidelity and quality to me personally. As soon as I move past that center area, things get back to kind of what I would expect, if not a little bit better, because of the specific pieces that COBI has available to them to make things be a little bit more realistic than with the leading brands' inventory of parts. You can see one of the COBI pieces right here that you won't necessarily see with every brand. They have so many different sizes and shapes of slopes and curved pieces and things, and I really appreciate that they have those and they're not afraid to use them. Again, prints here, really nice print for this plate down here on the side. More cranes for loading into the 2 cargo hatches. Those are not shaped perfectly, but given the size that's available here, it's not too bad. There are some gaps around the edges of the deck. If I can get this to focus, let's see, maybe we can look at it on this side. Yeah, on the inside there's some studs on the side construction used to try to fill the gap, but you can see that there is some gap inside of this highly specialized outer hull piece used around the bow. And then they also used a specialized piece for all of this here as well. I forgot to mention that. This is all one piece, this white around the railing, including the printing on the outside. These are actually connected. The anchors are actually connected to the chains there. I don't really have a suggestion of the center one there, but probably could have used an anchor crane there. I think that COBI has pieces that are small enough to make that work. So that's a little bit of a miss. Overall, though, I feel like the level of detail is, focus, thank you, pretty good throughout the bow. Get to here, this is good. Yeah, this is really good. And then it just falls apart in this area. Is there anything they could have done better with the parts that they have available? I have to say, I think so. It's just something to get something in there. Really hurts the whole thing to me. Back here, yeah, this works. This is good. Let's look down low again though. I want to call your attention to an interesting line that starts from right here. You can see that little gap between parts to the bottom edge of these slopes here, and it continues right up to where these stacked plates stop, and then it converts to studs on the side construction with the curved pieces here. So you've got 2 plates, 2 layers of plates in red that extend all the way forward. Now that line is actually important here. If I can get it to focus right, yep, so right up to there. When you first build this, per the instructions included in this kit, when you first build it, you actually continue that line forward and you build with more plates forward, just 2 layers of plates forward, and then you take those off. Here are those plates now, plus the spare pieces off to the side, plus these axles with some hard plastic wheels on them. It's part of a conversion between two different versions of this scale of Titanic that they sell. As you can see here on the first page of the instructions, the one that I bought is the executive edition. However, those other pieces are used to create the standard edition if you want a waterline up model. And of course you can leave the wheels out. You can see the wheels sticking down there. But this is all that you get when you buy the cheaper model, which for me in the United States is put at a suggested retail price of $70. But it's really interesting how you have the parts for even that version in this set as an option, and then you take those off and replace them with, especially at the front, this single large piece for the forward keel and the underwater portion of the bow. It's too bad that they didn't give us just more of the plates and curved pieces instead to continue this building technique down. They went for realism over the building experience, but this shows you how they did that and some of the reasoning behind it. All right, in terms of value, I personally don't feel like I got $100 US worth of stuff here. COBI products are much, much cheaper over in Europe, and some of the prices that I heard over there are like $50 to $60 for this model, and like $30 to $40 US equivalent for the waterline up model. And that feels so much better. As a matter of fact, those prices feel even too low for this. I honestly think that this could sell for like $75. Would not be asking too much. You know, would not be unreasonable, especially today with how prices of everything have gone up and all. But 100 definitely feels like too much. The building experience for this was good. There were actually some challenging, interesting areas. Not frustrating, but you know, just different, kind of opened up my mind and just were a little bit unexpected along the way. But I'm definitely disappointed by the bow. Can't say that enough, but I think I have said it enough, at least for this video for now. But overall, it definitely does its job of offering up a cheaper way to get a Titanic on display. And then I really appreciate the fact that they have that even cheaper still version that doesn't have the stand and doesn't have most of the area below the waterline. So you can still get something that, you know, looks pretty decent on display. And also that potentially would be a little bit better as a toy, although I really don't recommend this too much as a toy for younger kids because it does have some rather small pieces. You know, a lot of the deck details and things can be knocked off easily. Also, you've got the antenna set up here, which again really isn't designed well for play. This is more of a display model in my opinion, although of course, you know, you can always take it off. It's not going to float. You can always take it off and move it around. You know, it's not going to break in two, so you can't simulate the sinking. I do want to show you one other thing though that's relevant here. So this has been in the background of my videos for quite some time, ever since I built it. This is back here, the 1/300th scale version compared to the 450th scale version. So for folks who are interested in the difference in size, hopefully there's not too much lens distortion. Hopefully this is showing you somewhat realistically, somewhat fairly what the difference in size between them is. I personally strongly prefer this size. It's just much more grand, you know, and it also has a higher level of detail, and there's 100% genuine building that's involved in it. But this is significantly more expensive. This is like twice as much, and it's not twice as long. But you do have to consider when you scale things up, the third dimension exists. But I did want to show that to you, and just for one last little thing, to make sure that at the exact same distance from the camera, make sure there's no lens distortion effect on that. There we go. So that's the difference between those. But in this video, I've been talking about this. Wish it was a good deal cheaper, but for what it is, again, it does its job. Maybe you get a better deal off of that waterline up model in general, because this doesn't have that many more pieces involved with it. But I don't know, I like having this stand and being able to see the whole thing. So there we go. Those are my thoughts for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.